Welcome back to the Mental Dietitian Podcast. I'm your host, Ahren Lynch-Potter, and I'm late for this week's episode. Honestly, this has not been a priority at all lately. That's the damn truth. This sometimes feels like a chore, and that's just the truth. I've been doing a lot of other things lately. I'll tell you where I'm at. So, lately, I have been recently contracted to work for a company called Being True to You. Now, Being True to You is the premier coaching organization for psychedelic integration coaches and addiction recovery coaches. So that's the certification that I went through. I created a course about a year ago, just over a year ago, called Soul-Centered Selling. I presented that course to an alumni group of graduated coaches. It went very well. And then the founder of Being True to You really wanted me to come on board and teach people some sales. And the last month or so, I've been working on selling the coaching certification for Being True to You. And it has been amazing. It is a true lesson in purpose. And I have found that purpose is a feeling. It is not a thought, it is a feeling. And it's almost like God or the universe or whatever terminology you want to use. When you start following that feeling, it almost is like everything conspires to help you. So here's an example. I did a discovery call with a man who's I think he was around 30 years old. And I used to be part of a network marketing business for about 4 years. And I left that business about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was very difficult because it was my first big dream. I really thought that I could do this. I really thought that I could do it. And I think I could have, but it wasn't my path. And I had to let go of that. And there was lots of grief around that because I created this entire perspective about how my life was going to be and what I was going to be doing, but it wasn't truly aligned with what I was supposed to be doing. And I left that. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, this man who I did a discovery call with, his parents happened to be one of the biggest businesses within this network marketing company. And I used to listen to his mom and dad talk. And I used to listen to their audios. I listened to their speeches. And his dad was one of my favorite speakers because he could always tell an amazing story and always get in touch with his emotions. And I happened to be doing a discovery call 4 or 5 years later. And it's just funny how these little threads link back into your life. And I've found that purpose or your dharma or whatever you want to call it seems to link all these parts of your life that did not link. So I'm really sitting with lately that my purpose is to teach this course / workshop / group coaching. It is very unique. It is hard to describe what it is. I will do my best to describe what it is today. And I think that's the direction I'm going in. And the world is showing me that that's the direction I need to go in. And people are asking for more of it. And people are getting deeply impacted by it as I'm currently teaching it to that alumni group right now. And this year, my goal is to expand it outside of that alumni group that I'm teaching it to and basically offer it to the world, which is simultaneously really exciting and simultaneously fucking terrifying. And I've been talking about this a lot lately with people that eventually I talk a lot about mental health. I've talked a lot about psychedelics. I've talked a lot about healing your nervous system. Eventually you have to start looking in the windshield versus focusing on the rearview mirror. Yes, we've all been through stuff. I've talked a lot about trauma. I've talked a lot about this kind of shit. I'm kind of over talking about it. What I mean by that is we are here to create. We are here to create. All of us, you listening to this, me, we're here to create. And once you've caught up and you've done a lot of the heavy psychological lifting, what does the healed version of you do now? What do they do? What do you want to create? What do you want to do with your life? And that is the premise of soul-centered selling. Soul-centered selling is how to sell with integrity. I teach people frameworks, how to layer education onto those frameworks, how to handle objections before you even get to the client or the customer you're selling something to objecting. You weave it into a framework in the front end. If you do that well, by the time you get to the back end, when you actually close the deal or attempt to close the deal, you've already covered a lot of objections and it's a lot more smooth. And you don't have to cover these big gaps that occur when you haven't done a good enough job on the front end by establishing frameworks, establishing educational factors, things like that. So it's that I'm teaching people how to sell, because I'm everywhere that I've gone, I am the best. And even saying that, there's a part of me that's like, oh, you're the best. It's like, yeah, you're the best. I am an incredible salesperson. And for a long time, I was very scared of being big. I would make myself small, because when you start really embracing your bigness in this world, there's something in Australia called tall poppy syndrome. And tall poppy syndrome, imagine the tallest poppy, people try to cut that poppy down. When you shine, people don't like that, because it becomes a mirror for all the things that they are not doing. And they will subtly, subconsciously try to cut you down. I have spent a lot of my life like that. I'm turning 33 this year. I'm in a place now where I'm like, I'm staring down the barrel of 40 years old. It's not that far away. You might be like, oh, it's 7 years away. 7 years goes like this. It goes really quickly. Life goes really quickly. I can see it. I've had lots of factors lately where I'm looking at people who are no better than I am, absolutely crush it because they've been consistent and they're not scared of being big. And that's one of the reasons why this podcast has not been a massive priority. This is a passion project for me. I invest money into it every month. I've never made $1 from this. Sometimes when you're investing money into something and there's no return, but there's also no return because you're not investing effort and time into it. So it's this catch-22. I'm also realizing I can't do everything. If I'm going to really pursue my purpose, you've got to say no to other things. You have to. And there's so many things I want to do. And one of the hardest things about life is you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. So what are you going to do? There's so many things I'd love to do. So many things that I'm like, man, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. But here's the thing. You can't do everything. You just can't. So soul-centered selling is I keep going around in circles because there was no plan with this episode. I was honestly sitting there about to record. I was like, I don't even know what to fucking say right now. So this is just straight from the heart. This is just where I'm at, me talking to, I don't even know. I don't even know who's listening to this. Maybe nobody. Maybe this is more for me. But it's good to share some of this stuff. So soul-centered selling is obviously teaching people about how to sell, creating frameworks, like actually how to do it so you're not manipulating people, so you're in integrity, so it feels good. And the other half of it is coaching. So it is fascinating what comes up when you start talking about money, when you start talking about expansion. Because what do people want? I think most people want, and correct me if I'm wrong, People want to make a lot of money and feel really good about making a lot of money. Well, I don't want to make a lot of money. Okay, well, maybe let's phrase it this way. People want a lot of resources and they want to feel really good that they have a lot of resources and really take those resources and live through their value system and give money to things that they care about and invest things in places and people and traveling based on their values. And I don't think there's a human being on planet Earth that can say that they don't want that. And what does that mean? It means making a lot of money, as a lot of money is different to everybody, and then feeling really good about making that money and how you are making that money. And boy, oh boy, some of the gaps that are preventing people from expanding in their life are deeply rooted subconscious things. So what soul-centered selling is, it is mixing the 12, 13, 14 years now I've been in sales. And I know what it feels like to sell completely out of integrity. I know what it feels like to sell in integrity where it just feels so good. And I've mapped out a framework of how to do that. And I teach people that. And simultaneously, as I'm teaching people that, I am coaching them through the blocks that inevitably come up as they start trying to expand into that. You don't need to look in the past about what's wrong with you. The other way to heal and the other way to expand, the other way to realize your purpose, expand spiritually, whatever you want to call it, heal, is to be like, what do I want to create? And then go fucking create it. And if there's subconscious things that are trying to stop you that you have not felt, that you haven't worked on, they would inevitably come up. And that's what I'm seeing happening with these people when I'm doing soul-centered selling. Is the first hour is theory. We break down some concepts. The next hour is like, hey, where in there did you feel in your body this like, ugh? I had this person the other day said, I couldn't imagine asking for $4,000. And we always track it back to something in their childhood. And when they heal that, they can ask for $4,000 because what their service is or whatever it is they're providing is worth 10x that. They just don't believe it is internally. So what I've created is I've mixed this whole world around this and the communication, all the stuff I learned around sales, all the different people I sat down with. I've sat down with thousands and thousands and thousands of people from different religions, different races, different cultures, different belief systems. I know how people work and I know what people want, like what people really want. They want to live a great life. They want to have resources. They want to be happy. They don't want to feel restricted. They want peace. They want to feel safe. And they want to do something that matters in the world and that matters to them. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to feel like they're doing something that matters in their life and that matters to them. And if it matters to them, it will matter to other people. The art is for the artist. So that's where I'm at. That's really where I'm at the moment. And it's scary. It's exciting. I'm being asked to step into some things that scare the shit out of me. I'll report in the next few months what that looks like. And I'm being forced to learn about marketing, and there's so much resistance to it. I find myself subconsciously going on my phone. It's crazy. It's crazy when you know what your purpose is and you know what the direction is, and there's this resistance to it. And that is normal. And if you're feeling that way in your life, welcome. That is normal. That's why a lot of people don't do this. That's why a lot of people remain stuck. Don't let that be you. If you've got something in your heart, how do you know it's in your heart? How do you know? Because you think about it all the time. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's the first thing I want to do that. And then you make excuses, you justify because you got kids or you got a mortgage or you're doing this or you're doing that or you got this job that pays you 150 grand a year. And then, I'll do it like next year. Fuck that. Stop. You know what it is. It whispers to you. It's your soul talking to you. I ignored it for years. And I can't ignore it anymore. I've stepped into it about a year ago, and ever since then it's been expanding, and it's not the way you think it's going to go. But like one of my favorite books, The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life, has this saying. It says, I don't know where I'm going, but I know exactly how to get there. And it's talking about following the paw prints of the lion as they're tracking the lions through Africa. And I've found that your purpose is the same way. If you don't know what it's going to look like. Where you begin is not where you end. You follow the next paw print that is illuminating in your life. And if you're doing the same shit all the time, it's the thing that you think about when nobody else is around. It's the thing you think about in the darkness and the quietest mornings in the middle of the night when everybody else is asleep. It's the thing that whispers to you, and you fucking know what it is, because I have worked with so many people, and when we get past the weeds and the muck and the mire and the bullshit, they're like, it's that. I'm like, you know what it is. And for somebody to admit that, they are now not ignorant anymore. Once you choose that, and once you feel that, you now know, and you have a responsibility. And a lot of people don't want that responsibility because it's scary as fuck, and I get it. But the top regret of the dying, from the book 5 Regrets of the Dying, Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware, I wish I had have lived a life true to myself and not a life others expected of me. Go for it. I'm doing it right now. It's fucking terrifying. I can feel it. It's like, oh boy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm so grateful. And that's why I haven't been on the podcast much lately. Will there come a day where I'm like, you know what? This is the last episode. Possibly. But there's something in me that's like, keep doing the podcast. Keep going. You don't know where it's going to end up. So I'm going to keep going for now. And if this helps, if you're listening to this and you've got something out of this, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to help you with whatever it is that whispers to you. That's what I want to help people do, because that's my purpose. My purpose is to help other people find their purpose. That's what it feels like, but in a very unique way, around teaching people how to sell and unblocking money blocks and success blocks and whatever it is. And that's my thing. And I got all the trauma-informed coaching. I've worked with people who are deeply suicidal. I've worked with people who have got PTSD, who are going in and out of disassociation when I'm working with them. And I had to work with all those people to realize that, like, hey, they're not the people that I personally am supposed to work with long term. Can I help them? Absolutely. Does it light me up the same way that me teaching soul-centered selling does? No. So follow the feeling. Follow the feeling your nervous system is sharing with you. And the next paw print of your life is the thing that lights you on fire. And if you've forgotten what it is, or if you feel stuck, try to think back to the last time you felt that. Just like somebody tracking a lion, when they lose the tracks, they go back to the last confirmed track and they reassess. And you can do the same in your life. If you feel stuck, go back to the last thing that you felt lit you up, that felt exciting. And it might have been years ago, but go back to that, start doing that, and the next track will illuminate to you. This is how I've seen how it works with so many people. This is how it has worked for me. This is how it continues to work for me. And I don't know where I'm going, but I know exactly how to get there. We'll see you next week.